Good afternoon. Give me a moment to refresh my laptop and make sure that I am live. Not yet. One more time maybe. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, Carol Buckalew with Inky Stampers. I have a fun fold here for you today, a Christmas fun fold. This is a double easel, I'll hold it up here profile, a double easel card, and a shout out to my team member, Tara Beth, with Tara Beth Stamps. Tara recently made this fun fold for her blog and video, and I haven't made one of these in a long time, so I just thought, you know, it would be a fun thing to do. The products I used today are the Magical Meadow stamp set and dies, and I used 4 of these dies out of this set. Hey Faith, thanks so much for joining. Thank you. And then for the Merry Christmas sentiment, I used the Stars at Night stamp set. I also used the Stylish Shapes dies, and I used the 3rd to smallest round die for this card. And then the beautiful Winter Meadow Designer Series paper. This paper is just absolutely beautiful. And this is like my favorite print out of the whole pack. I've got about 1.5 sheets left. So I'm trying to conserve it. But anyway, let's get started. So this card has kind of a lot going on. It's not a difficult card. And you know, I apologize. I'm going to try to raise my camera up here because it just looks like everything is so far away. And of course, I'll probably really mess it up here. That is a little bit better. Let me move it down just slightly. And of course, I'm turning it the wrong way. There's a delay on the video, and so there we go. That is slightly better. Hey, Karen, thank you so much for joining. So let's get started here because I've got a little bit of drying time involved with this card. So I'm going to go ahead and get some things stamped. Let me see here. And I need one of my die cuts. So I did pre-die cut my pieces for this card. And let me grab a piece of scrap paper here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stamping this image actually in the stamp on my envelope and my inside panel. Hey, Amy, thanks so much for joining. And what I have here is white pigment ink, and in the catalog I believe this is known as Whisper White. Oh, of course I'm not going to be able to remember it here. Whisper White Craft Ink is, I believe, what it's called in the catalog. So what I did here was I just put a little drop here on a stamping block, and I am going to grab a Misty Moonlight Stampin' Blend. And I see a little thing here that I forgot to poke out on my card. Get rid of that. There we go. And what I'm going to do, and you might say that this isn't really worth it, that the cardstock, this is pretty peacock, this cutout, you know, that the cardstock's already pretty dark. So why are you doing this? In person, this actually turned out really beautiful. And I'll show you here in a minute a close-up of the envelope, which really showcases this. But I'm coloring all of these berries in Misty Moonlight on this die cutout. And then I'm going to use the white pigment ink to give these berries a little bit of a highlight. And it really turned out pretty. I was, you know, you just experiment sometimes, and you're not sure if something's going to really work. My advice is try it because you just never know. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, the pointy end, of the tool, I'm just going to grab just a tiny bit of that white pigment ink. And you may not be able to see this on camera. I'll hold it up for you here in just a moment. But what I'm doing is I'm just giving each of these berries a little bit of a highlight with this white ink. And it is going to need a little bit of dry time. So that's why I wanted to get this done first. Yeah, it's, you know, like I said, it's kind of hard to see on video. I'll hold it up here for you in a minute. I'll hold up the envelope. That's where it really looks the prettiest. You can see the color variation. And this ink does dry lighter, but it's okay. You know, it works. See if my camera will focus. Yeah, so you can see the highlight, and you can definitely, well, you can kind of see the color variation, but trust me, it's there. I'm going to set that aside to dry. Here is the envelope. This actually, you see it better. On the envelope, you can, well, yeah, the colors aren't real true, but you can tell that the berries are darker, and then they've got the little highlight on them. So let me go ahead and get this image stamped on to my inside panel and my envelope, and I'm going to do the same exact thing on the stamped images. So this is Pretty Peacock, one of my new favorites. I just love this color. This is just the most awesome color ever. And I'm just going to stamp that down in the corner. And grab my envelope. And I'm just partially, this is a large image, so I'm just partially stamping this image. There we go. You know, while I have that ink out, I might as well go ahead and stamp my sentiments. This is the sentiment label for the front of my card, and on the front, I've got "May this season of sparkle bring joy and delight," and that is for my for the front of my card. Just kind of line this up on my grid paper here. When you're trying to line something up on video, why does it keep moving on you? There we go. Let me see here if I can get this somewhat straight. Okay, that looks good. I will take that. Phew. All right, and then I'm going to grab my Merry Christmas greeting, and again, I'm going to ink up in Pretty Peacock. And this one, hopefully, I can get stamped straight, since it's a photopolymer stamp and I can see through it. But sometimes it's hard for me to get it straight, just because I usually pull the piece closer to myself. And with being on video, you don't want to see my head in the picture at all. So sometimes I can't pull it close enough. But that's pretty straight. We'll take that. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and just grab my Take Your Pick tool again. Whoops, forgot I've got to color the berries first. Good grief. Let's do that. So we are enjoying still some nice weather. Actually, it rained this weekend. It was kind of a very cold, blustery weekend. And then as soon as Monday came around, it got nice again. Of course, actually Sunday it got nice again. But the temperatures have just been in the low 60s, full sunshine. It's just been beautiful. And get these little berries colored in with the misty moonlight. I can hear one of the dogs scratching at their blanket on the couch. I guess they're making a nest. Alrighty. And then whenever I use Stampin' blends or markers on my envelopes, I slip a scrap piece of cardstock inside of my envelope. I tend to have a heavy hand. And, oh no, Faith, You didn't feel the earthquake. And you're going to get, it was a 4, the earthquake. Oh my goodness, please stay safe. Do what you need to do. I think in earthquakes, you're supposed to go outside. Is that right? Move away from tall buildings? I don't know. We have had several earthquakes here on the East Coast in my lifetime, maybe 3 or 4. One of them was centered down in Virginia, which is a good distance from us. And it shook our entire house. I couldn't believe. And then others have been smaller and you really don't notice them. But that one in particular, I was in the basement. My quilting machine is in the basement. And I was quilting. And I thought, oh my Lord, what is all that noise? I mean, all the legs of the furniture were rattling and drop, roll, and hold on. Oh my goodness, turn off the gas, definitely. Oh, please stay safe. That's let us know you're okay. That's troublesome. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and with my take your pick tool, I'm going to go ahead and just put a small highlight here on the berries. And this goes rather quick. I'm trying not to get that ink too thick because I suspect that it's not going to be dry by the time I need it to be, but I have a little trick up my sleeve, so if it's not, we'll roll with it. I'll try not to touch it. All right, that is the envelope, and let me get the inside panel, and then we can go ahead and basically go ahead and start putting the card together. But the point on the take your pick tool works really well for this. You know, if you had a white gel pen, you could also, you know, use that. I am using Stampin' Up! Products, so I'm using the white craft ink, and I'm just going to rub that excess ink off here on my scrap pad and set that block out of the way and set these pieces off to dry. And there we go. And I did not, I just noticed I got white craft ink on my desk. Let me get it off there. Now it's on my fingers. Oh, wow. I just remembered that, of course, I did not write down the measurements here for you guys. So the double easel is basically 2 card bases. And the first one is 11 inches long by 4 1/4. And it is scored at 5 1/2. This one I remember. And so this is kind of our larger easel for the card. I'll just go ahead and give that a burnish. And then this one measures 10 1/4 by 4 inches, and it is scored at 5 1/4 and 7 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and let me see here. Did I just fold that wrong? I need to look at my sample card. Isn't that terrible? Yeah, so this first fold, the first score line, gets folded up. It is a valley fold. Now let me go ahead and give that a burnish with my bone folder. And then the 7 3/4 score line is a mountain fold. So you can see we've got a valley and then the mountain. Go ahead and give that a burnish. And I'm going to go ahead and put my designer series paper on the card here. Let me grab my pieces. So if you look at this paper, you know, the paper may or may not be directional, right? But I wanted, very specifically, I wanted my paper to be cut so that when it was on the card front, the greenery was kind of headed off to the upper left corner of the card. So I was careful when cutting this paper to make sure that I had the same direction on the card. And I'm going to go ahead and get this put on. Faith, keep talking to us. Let us know you're okay. That is so scary. I can't even imagine. Ugh. And I'm going to go ahead and get this centered on my card base. And I'm looking for an equal reveal all the way around. Oops. And that glue is giving me just a little bit of wiggle room to make sure I've got that on there evenly. And then the smaller panel, which will be the front small easel on the card, I am matting to a piece of Pretty Peacock. So what's kind of fun about this card fold is that this smaller base, okay, good, Faith, glad to hear it. Thank you for letting us know that you're okay. So what's kind of fun about this smaller card base is that the card base actually acts as a mat. And you'll see that here in a second when I put these pieces together. And I think that I am going to go ahead and get this glued on. So what I mean is that this smaller card base is actually acting, you know, as the mat against the larger Pretty Peacock base, which is pretty cool. Now, when you're adhering this down, I recommend that you fold it up when you're adhering it to the larger card base. It's just a bit easier to get everything centered. And I'll go ahead and get this glued up. And pick up my larger card base here, and I am again looking for that equal reveal all the way around. Give that a good press. I was making a card on my video last week and everything looked good. And when I went back to pick up the card base, my panel had shifted on me. And so, I mean, I suppose I could still use the card, but I was really disappointed. So make sure you give that glue just a, you know, a hot minute to set up. Now, again, this is directional. So I want this panel to go this way. Hey, Karen, thanks so much for joining. You're sneaking on from work. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. So I'm doing a double easel fun fold, Karen. Tara Beth made one last week, and I haven't made one in a while, and just thought, oh, this would be a great card to make for my video. And again, I'm giving that glue just a little bit of time here to set up. Alrighty. Let's see here if my pieces are dry yet. So my little die cut looks like it's dry. I'm going to set this aside for a second. Just a little bit more coloring here with some Stampin' blends. So I've got this die cut. I've got a die cut in Misty Moonlight. And then I've got some little holly leaves. And we're going to do something fun with the holly leaves. And then I've got a die cut circle here. And this is the Designer Series paper in, I would say, Lost Lagoon. I think that is the color. It looks too light to be Pretty Peacock. And then I cut this one out in basic white cardstock. And I want to color this. And I'm going to use some Stampin' blends. I'm going to use Moody Mauve and Lost Lagoon. And in the paper, I don't know if you can see it. I think that is another color. That may be garden green. But you can see that this little stem is kind of variegated. And that's kind of the look that I was going for on this little die cut sprig here. So I'm going to color all of the berries in Moody Mauve. And there is nothing fancy about this coloring right here. Just get the color on. In nature, variegated plants, there kind of is no rhyme or reason. So it's a safe bet that if you're coloring, don't worry about it. You know, it is what it is. Two little berries down here. And then I believe on my sample, let me look at it. Yeah. So on my sample, I kind of did the bottoms of and the sides of the stems in Moody Mauve. And I'm just kind of brushing up to the, you know, from the bottom to the center of the little leaves. And nothing fancy here. The DSP, Karen, this is probably, I always say this, like I have too many favorites. But, oh, this DSP is just wonderful. I think I'm going to need to get another pack. I really do, because, yeah, it's just beautiful. That's all I can say about it. It's just gorgeous. Alrighty. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the light shade of a Lost Lagoon Stampin' Blend. And, you know, these colors, I'm probably going to come back with that Moody Mauve to blend this out a bit. But I'm just getting the Lost Lagoon down to kind of fill in where I didn't color with the Moody Mauve. Yeah, this paper is yeah, one of my favorites. Of course, I have a few favorites, I'll confess. But yeah, just so beautiful. And almost done here. And then I'm going to come back with the Moody Mauve just to make sure that that everything is kind of blended out a bit. You're never going to get these two particular colors to blend completely, but if you come back with a lighter color, which is the Moody Mauve, then you can kind of get a bit of blending going on there. But again, it's supposed to look variegated, so we'll just make quick work of it here. All right, there we go. And that is it for the markers. So we've got our 3 large die-cut greenery pieces here. And I don't know about you guys, but when I make cards, there's always something that kind of stands out to me after I've made the card that I wish I'd done differently. And I have 3 holly leaves sitting here on this card. And to me, they look like they needed something after I made the card. I can't fix it now because they are glued down. But since I'm making the card again, what I can do is try to improve on that. So what I did was I'm going to take a sponge dauber and I'm going to take Lost Lagoon ink and just sponge around the outside edges of these leaves as well as the circle. So I've done those 2 leaves already. I'm going to go ahead and do the circle. Let me grab my Lost Lagoon ink. And I just want to, I want to give a bit more color to the circle as well as those holly leaves. And I'm just rubbing this along the edge. And I most likely will get Lost Lagoon all over me. It's inevitable. Okay, there we go. That's the circle. And go ahead and get this little holly leaf done. But using the sponge dauber on these holly leaves, it really made the holly leaves look like they had a highlight in the center. And I love that. If you know me and my card making, I'm all about the detail. So yeah, I just thought it really added a lot to those little holly leaves. They're a little bit more interesting now. Okay, let me grab my sentiment. So for the sentiment, I cut a mat from Pretty Peacock, and that mat is shorter and taller than the sentiment label itself. So let me go ahead and get this glued up. So I'm going to have a bit of a reveal on the top and bottom of that pretty peacock. If my glue wants to cooperate here. There we go. And I'm just gonna eyeball this and make sure that it is centered from left to right and top to bottom. And that looks pretty good. And it looks like I have an equal reveal. So that is good. Yeah, dark colors seem to gravitate to fingers for sure. I don't know, it's like a rule or something, right? It's like a law. Must get ink on fingers when the inks are dark. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get some Stampin' Dimensionals here on my sentiment label. And we'll get that popped up on that smaller easel on our card front. If I can get a hold of it here. And I want this label to kind of sit over here. You might ask, so this circle is actually going to get attached down here. And you might say, well, the card's covering it. Well, when the card is closed, it's covering it. But when the card is open, you definitely, can view that detail that is sitting on that larger easel. I really wanted the circle just to kind of ground the die cuts, kind of give them a place to land. So that's why I hit that circle back there on the larger easel, because once the card is open and on display, you will see that detail, and it just kind of adds a little bit of extra interest. All right, so I want as much of this paper to show. So I'm going to put my sentiment label here on the left and try to get that as straight as possible. And I always need to kind of hold it up and make sure it's straight. So that looks pretty good. And whoops, I thought I was going to lose my circle. There we go. And I want to get this circle put on. And I want to leave myself some room to tuck in the stems of that greenery. So I'm not putting any dimensionals here at the top. I can always tuck dimensionals in there if I need to better support that circle after I've got everything all layered up. So that's kind of my opening, and I'm going to put that about 1/4 of an inch from the right and bottom edge of that score line there. And so that's our circle. And we can go ahead and just start layering up. I'm going to first put my Misty Moonlight sprig here in first. So he's going to kind of sit behind. And I'm trying to be light with the glue. We all know how that goes. But I'll give it my best shot. And so because I didn't put any dimensionals there, I'm able to tuck that right under that circle. So that worked out good. I don't want my circle to adhere though. All right, and this one I'm going to go ahead and get glued up as well. And this one has a super skinny stem. So far so good. I haven't gotten glue on myself. Just kind of lift that up, and I'm going to put that one right there. And then lastly, our little berry sprig. And get this glued down as well. Whoops. My glue, it wanted to stick to my glue bottle there. Oops. Yeah, ma. There we go. Make sure that gets stuck down. And when I glue these longer sprigs in, I tend to keep glue off the tops of them, just so that they have a little bit of movement. I'm going to clean the top of my glue bottle off here. It's getting rather yucky. I should have done that. I usually do that before I start my video, and I didn't think about it. All right, let me go ahead and get the holly berries put in here. Hope everybody's having a good day. I thought maybe Rosie would be on. Last week they were under a winter storm warning, so I'm wondering how much snow they got. So I want to put these two holly berries, I think, together here, kind of on the left of that circle. Whoop. Let's get the glue off. And this one I'll put on the left. There we go. And I'm going to check my inside panel here. And I am literally just blotting this with my fingers very carefully. It's still a little bit tacky, but it's nearly dry. And this is the inside panel. Go ahead and get this glued up. And we're almost done. I still managed to run over 30 minutes. I try. I do try. Alrighty. And let's go ahead and get this on the inside of our card. Oh, little Buffy wants to be held. I bet she senses that, I bet she sensed the earthquake, Faith. That's crazy. All right, again, equal reveal around our inside panel. All right, almost there, guys, I promise. I have white iridescent ribbon here. I am going to go ahead and tie a small bow. And this is how Amy ties a bow. And I like how the bows come out, Amy, tying them this way. Works really good. If I can get my fingers to work. And this ribbon has some thickness to it, but what I've done before, if you don't like that thickness, cut the ribbon, you know, vertically in half, and it actually works really well. So a little trick here to get your ribbon ends equal. I kind of hold the top of the bow between my two fingers here, and then I hold the bottom with my thumb and ring finger, and I cut straight across. So this is my little trick on how to get your bows even. And then, and actually I think I need it a bit shorter, so let me try that again here. Let's just cut that a little bit shorter, those tails. So straight across, and then I come up at that point and just angle my ribbon that way. And that seems to work out. Whoops, excuse me, sorry about that. That seems to work out pretty good. I'm trying to get stuff out of my way. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab a mini glue dot, and let me see here. I do need an extra dimensional there under my circle. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take the covers off. And these are half dimensionals. I cut my dimensionals in half. Number one, it conserves them, but also they fit really good in spaces. So there we go, and then that's better supported now, that circle. And I'm gonna grab a mini glue dot. And because this ribbon is kind of stout, you may want to put down 2 glue dots, which is what I did on my original card. Just because the ribbon has some thickness to it. I did test the card. It does fit inside of an envelope nicely. It will require extra postage. There's lots of layers here on this card. And I'm going to drop my bow right there. Okay. And then I'm going to grab some adhesive Faceted Gems Trio Pack gems. And these are currently out of stock. They are expected back in. So this is the only item that I use that on my card today that actually is out of stock right now. And I'm going to go ahead and just tuck a couple of these pretty gems around my flowers. Now, on my original card, I put one on the front label here, but to be honest, it kind of adds too much bulk. So I'm going to go ahead and just put all of them on this back panel. When you mail this card, if you're mailing it, I mean, you might be hand delivering it, right? But if you mailed it, what I recommend is cutting a piece of cardstock or taking a scrap piece of cardstock and laying it over top of the card before you put it in the envelope. So these gems do have a little bit of height. So just so that, you know, they're not poking through your envelope. And it just protects it from the post office handling, let's say, which can be rather rough sometimes. All right, so this is the last thing here. Put on a coordinating piece of designer series paper. And we'll get this trimmed up and we are all done. So right now, Stampin' Up! Has a 35% more, 35% off joining promotion. You can read all about it on my blog at inkybstampers.com. It is a wonderful joining promotion. And if you join, you know, there is no pressure to maintain your demonstratorship if you decide it's not for you. But let me tell you, this is a great way to get a lot of product. It's over, I think, $165 if you choose the 35% more option. So you're paying, you know, the $99 starter kit price. The starter kit is shipping for free, and then you're getting, you know, 35% more worth of product. So normally you'd get $125 worth of product for $99, but with the 35% more, it's like over $165 in products for $99. And it ships for free. So just a super good deal right now. Or you can choose the 35% off option as well. So that is our double easel fun fold for today. And I really, really love this winter meadow paper. And these colors, they just are the bomb. They really are. So that is it. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I wish you a good rest of the day. Hope you have a good week. And I will see you next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern on my Facebook page. So have a good one. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.